So sooner or later, if you decide to be the deliberate creator of your own experience, and if you decide that you're going to create your own reality, then you have to come round to an understanding that creating one's reality means deliberately offering vibration. And deliberately offering vibration is about paying attention to what you're giving your attention to with your ear to the ground relative to how it feels when you do it. Many of you are beginning to understand that you were born with this magnificent guidance system that is giving you feedback, constant feedback on the vibration of your being. And the vibration of your being is strictly, precisely, and only about your point of focus, which means what you're thinking about. What you're thinking about, past, present, or future, but what you're thinking about. So when you're discussing something, you're activating vibrations that are attracting to you. When you are remembering something, you're activating vibrations that are attracting to you. When you are imagining, observing, when you are focusing, that's the best word. When you are focusing upon anything, the vibrational essence of it is activated in you and becomes a part of your point of attraction. You just can't get around it. You are born with magnificent guidance that lets you know how you're doing. So when we talk about energy balance, we're not talking about balancing your energy with someone else. We're not talking about balancing your energy with your lover or with your mother. We're not encouraging you to balance your energy with one other human. We're encouraging you to balance your energy within you. So what that means is, it means two significant things. It means aligning with your source, and we'll talk about that in a moment. But it also means aligning with your own desire. When you say, I want more money, and you keep noticing you don't have enough money, you're out of balance. Your desire for more money is one vibration. Your awareness of lack of money is another vibration. You're out of balance. You are not in energy alignment. When you want to be slender but you feel fat, you're not in energy alignment. When you want the world to be a better place and you keep watching television programs that show you what's rotten with the world, you're not in energy balance. And it is your energy balance that equals your point of attraction. So we want you to listen and feel as we are moving forward here today, and it would be so wonderful if you could leave this gathering at the end of this day at least understanding that you're in charge of your energy alignment and that you have so many facilities at your disposal to assist you in being a vibrational match to your own desires. So we think what goes wrong with so many is that they have a desire for something that's vibrating over here, and they have a habit of vibration that's vibrating over here, and then they feel that something's gone terribly wrong, that their stuff can't get through to them. And we say, you've got to move your habit of thought closer to this desire, which means you've got to modify some beliefs. You've got to change some expectations. You can't expect one thing and get another. Your expectation is such a powerful state of being because your expectation is your focus coupled with powerful belief. And the universal forces, even those who love you, cannot buck your current. Jerry and Esther, the last couple of weeks, were in Oregon and they picked up their magnificent new monster bus. And it is, by Esther's terms, beyond description in so many ways. It is better than they thought it could possibly be. The orientation was intense and satisfying and 2 weeks long. And then, toward the end of that 2 weeks, one day they woke up in the parking lot of the manufacturing plant where they had been happily living, plugged in. And they had an appointment at 10 o'clock with someone inside the building. And when they went to get out, they couldn't. They were locked in. None of the buttons worked. The lever, which is a manual lever, was jammed so tight they could not move it with their hands. So they called the nice man who had been giving them the orientation, and he said, "You've got to be kidding." And Esther said, "Nope. We're really locked in. Bring help." So he came, guided them by pantomime outside the window, then called them on their telephone and explained to them, yes, you are locked in. And then he got out the ladder, and Jerry and Esther opened the emergency window, and the nice man crawled in. And Esther said, have you had breakfast? And then he proceeded to dismantle the door, and after quite a bit of consternation and amazement, he managed to wiggle something that released it, and they were free at last. But then they could not identify what had caused it, and his instructions to them were, whatever you did to lock yourself in, don't do that again. He is playful, but he had never seen that before. Esther said, it's not your fault. We have door issues. We bought this motor coach because the door on our last coach never was right. And we foolishly assumed that we could just move into a new coach, and we really thought if we paid enough for it, it would be perfect. But we did not take into consideration the fact that we take ourselves with us everywhere we go. And he said, still, this is not right. This should not be happening. And Esther said, it's a long story. We agree with you that on the face value, it should not be happening. That your mechanic should be able to foresee all things and prevent things like this from happening. But we have issues. Well, he scratched his head as he went away, and they never were able to figure out what happened. And then Esther said, what happens if we get locked out when we're on the outside? When there's no one on the inside to open the window and let us in? And he said, that would be a problem. And then they left the nest, and they drove to San Francisco, and then they drove to Valencia, and they went out to dinner in Valencia, and when they came back to the coach, they were locked out. And Jerry had already asked them which window would be the best one to break. Easiest to replace and least damage, and so he was looking around the parking lot for something big enough to break it. And then Jerry had a very brilliant idea. He put the big key in the big lock and encouraged Esther to try it while he clicked with the electronic gizmo. And after about half an hour, the right alignment happened, and the door opened. And so then they went to Prevo in Los Angeles, and talented people greeted them and said to them, this has never happened before. And Esther said, we know. We have issues. And so he dismantled the door and examined it from top to bottom, pronounced it healthy as is, and said to them, whatever it is that you're doing, don't do that. And so Jerry and Esther now know that life in their new motor coach is dependent upon their alignment of energy. In other words, you can buy the most expensive contraption on the planet, they just did, manufactured by the most talented, caring, effective, efficient people who exist anywhere, and they are that. And if your energy is not in alignment, you can defy all logic, because the universe gives you response that matches your vibration. And Jerry and Esther have had 2 coaches that the doors were not in alignment, and they said it regularly. We're going to get a new coach, and the door's going to be different. And what they meant was it will be better. But what their vibration said is, nah, 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 we're leaving you behind. But they didn't. You have to be a vibrational match to what you want. You cannot push away from you what you don't want. They know it. Their life is nearly perfect, and if they could get into their beautiful new motor coach, it would be perfect. Now they're having fun. Now they're laughing. Now they're contrite. Now they are accepting that it is their vibration. Now they are really looking for solutions. Esther is saying there must be a reason for it. And so she said to the nice man when he still had the door all apart, let's see if we can replicate what's causing this. And then an idea occurred to her. She said, is it possible that we could be attempting to open one latch at the same time that we're attempting to unlock another latch, because they're always so eager to get out or get in, that we could be operating both mechanisms simultaneously and they could be getting in the way of each other? And the man said, I don't think so, but I'll try it. And he did, and the lock jammed. And then he did it again, and the lock jammed. And then he did it again, and the lock jammed. He did it 10 times, and the lock jammed 10 times. And then they said, now we know what we're doing. It's hard to believe we were the first creative people to think of doing this. But now, at least we know what's causing it. And now we can follow your guidance. We won't do that again. So they put their electronic clickers away. And they promised each other that they will be very cognizant as they are going out the door. And we say to all of you, when you get as deliberate about the way you feel as Jerry and Esther must become about getting out the door. In other words, when you take the time to line things up. In other words, don't you think it's interesting that two things were colliding inside their door, and it's exactly what we're talking about your energies clashing, is what we're talking about wanting one thing and believing another, or wanting one thing and expecting another. It just never works out. Things jam up. Energy alignment is about going with the flow of your desire. You are extensions of source energy. You are pure positive energy beings who have come forth into this physical body. And when you are in alignment with the source that is you, you feel wonderful. And to the degree that you pinch it off, you don't feel so wonderful. And your emotions are your indicator of your choosing thoughts that pinch it off. Now, why does that work? Because you live in a universe that is about inclusion. In other words, there's no exclusion. You can't look at something not wanted and say no to it and make it go away. Jerry and Esther could not leave the vibration of that door that rattled and whistled and made noise and was hard to open and hard to close. They cannot leave it behind just by saying, we don't like you, we're going someplace else. You've got to clean your vibrations up because your vibration is your point of attraction. The way you clean your vibration up is by caring about how you feel when you focus on some subject. In other words, if we had been coaching Jerry and Esther and they had been listening relative to that door, we would have said to them, this door is a vibration that's so predominant within you that you must clean it up before you move on. And if they had said, how do we go about cleaning it up? We would have said to them, focus upon a door that opens and feel good about a door that opens. And they would have said, but how do we do that when every time we try to close this door, it closes hard? And we say, gotta try. It's so easy to go toward your awareness of what is. And it is not easy to focus around what is into something that you would prefer. But that is your work. You have to focus around what is. You have to blind yourself to your awareness of what is if it makes you feel bad when you look at it. And you have to focus upon the aspects of the issue in a way that feels better to you. That is the work. You've got to find happy relationships with those things that you're in and out of every day, or you're going to continue to beat the drum of a vibration that's going to continue by law of attraction to bring more things like it to you. It's just the way law of attraction works.